couple of years ago, there were two movies. One was called Olympus Has Fallen. The other was called White House Down. Both of them had action hero type people in them. They were sort of disgraced or wannabe Secret Service agents. Both of them involved a terrorist attack taking over the White House. Both of them involved the president. Both of them happened to have an African-American president. I don't think they happened to have it. I think it was intentional. One of them had Morgan Freeman. The other one had Jamie Foxx as president. Really? Well, anyway. And they were both full of explosions and danger and peril and all sorts of stuff. Now you gotta wonder, how did two movies manage to have a sort of hostage situation in the White House? And then, if you think about it, the TV show 24 a few years before had a similar sort of a thing, although with a female president. And then a few years before that, Harrison Ford was the president, and the hostage situation took place on Air Force One. That was the name of the movie, Air Force One. So did 24 steal from Air Force One, and did the two movies last year, year before, whenever that was, steal from 24? And did those two movies steal from each other? It's hard to tell. Sometimes it's easy to tell who influenced whom. For example, it's pretty obvious that Air Force One was not influenced by the movies that came after. But other times it's much harder to see where influence came. And maybe those two people just happened, those two directors, producers, whoever it was, just happened to come up with the same basic idea at the same basic time so that their movies could come out at roughly the same time and compete against each other, and neither one of them did real well. Okay, my point here is not to do a movie review. My point is to think for a moment about our discussion that you're going to be writing about the influence between the Epic of Gilgamesh and the Genesis account of the flood and other things. Who influenced whom? Did Gilgamesh influence the author of Genesis? Did they both come up with it on their own? Was there a single source that both of them drew from? Were they just recording their recollections, kind of the way a story was passed down over the years within, from parents to children? It's hard to tell. We can't really know. And I think the important thing to do as scholars is to step back and say, we don't know for sure, so let's not make claims that we can't absolutely prove. But it seems pretty clear that there's some sort of influence going on between Gilgamesh and Genesis. And so what was the nature of that? It's a good question. I look forward to reading what you have to say about it and participating in your discussion. So forge into this. If you're behind and you didn't get the week 3 readings done, this would be the time to get caught up and get that done, because we're going to forge into some other stuff next week. Okay? All right. Get at it.